Hello YouTube, this is Froogle, and here we are in Carinada's B200 in the Xplane. I'm having a bad time with this actually. I'm trying to figure out the aircraft. Don't have a lot of experience with it. I really want to practice my approaches and my landings and stuff like that. So I'm flying the pattern here in John Wayne, and you know what? There are some really cool features in Xplane to let you repeatedly practice something like an approach, like a pattern, over and over, well, hence repeatedly, right? Repeatedly practice them until you get them perfect. I'm going to show you what they are right now. The key though, before we get started, is, let me turn off track IR, is to make sure you're all set up to do this. The things that you need to be aware of are, if you're flying an ILS approach, make sure that your radio is tuned. So we're currently tuned to 111.75, which is the ILS here at John Wayne. We've got our course set in, 194. That is the course to fly on the ILS to land on runway 20 right. So we set all that stuff up. There's not really that much else to do. You can mess with the lights and all that good stuff if you want. Notice I'm currently gear down. We can change that. We can make it gear up, but I'm not going to. Once you have all that set up, there's two ways of setting up your approach. If you go to the location menu, you can select global airport, and then the simplest way is just to choose the runway, well, choose your airport, so KSNA in this case. KSNA, choose your runway, so 19 right. I know it's been reclassified recently as 20, but in Xplane it still says 19. And you can choose 3 mile final, 10 mile final, and away you go. That's the non-scientific way. Here's a much better way. First of all, if we wanted to fly the pattern, we know that our runway is 194, so the reciprocal there is 194 minus 80, so that's 14 degrees. What we can do is we can go local map, and then just drag. See this rose, by the way. I turned the rose on here. You can turn it on and off here. That's 2 mile rose. So if the runway, you can zoom in with the mouse wheel. If the runway is right here, well, let's drag my aircraft down. Let's put it on the runway threshold. In fact, let's put it down here. And we can see 2 miles out is going to put me right about that power line. So I'm going to drag the aircraft down to that power line. And then what you can do is you can mess with all these settings top right. So 194. Is the runway heading, so we want 014, so we'll just drop this down 0, drop this number down here to 15. 15 is good. We want to fly the pattern altitude today of 1500, so we just set these up as 1500. You don't need to be very precise, because as soon as you take control of the aircraft, it's going to be a little funky anyway, just because of aerodynamics and the aerodynamics that take place when you teleport an aircraft into the mid-air. But anyway, I'm going to set our speed up here at 152. Not climbing or descending, so 0 angle. We are now flying downwind pattern to John Wayne, runway 20 right. All you need to do is close this window down. Now get ready to pause it, because it will be a little funky. In fact, it's already paused because I paused it before we did it, so good job, Froogle. We can check here, my gear's down, my flap is down. We are at the right altitude. In fact, we're actually not. I must have missed the altitude a little bit there, but we're pretty good. I'm sure if I unpause it, it'll reset that. There you go. Now notice it started to balloon up straight away, so you're going to need to push your yoke in. Make sure you get that under control. And start trimming your aircraft rapidly. So I'm just trimming this now. I'm going to wiggle my power levers, my condition levers, prop levers, make sure they're all good. And we're in the pattern. John Wayne is off to the left. It's a couple of miles away. It's about there, I think. No, there it is, sorry. And we are downwind for runway 20 right. Wonderful. Now what if you wanted to actually fly an approach, a proper full-on published approach, and practice that over and over again? You can use the same techniques I just showed you. I'm going to pause the sim. Here is the approach chart for a runway ILS 19 right, 20 right now at John Wayne. You can see that here we have our descent path. So Sega, 17.3 miles out at 3,500 feet, heading on 194. Let's say we wanted to practice that entire approach from there. Very, very easy to do. Go back into the location menu, go to local map. Let's zoom out. Now on our chart, Sager, S-A-G-E-R, is 17.3 miles away from John Wayne. How do you measure that? Well, actually you don't. What you do is you click over here and say show fix. Look at that. These are all the published fixes around John Wayne. So there's Snake, for example, there's Lemon. These are familiar waypoints on the approach into John Wayne, and right up here is Sega. So what we can do is we can grab our aircraft and then just drag it up the top. You might need to do it a few times because you need to drag the aircraft and drag the map. So I'm going to drag it, drag it, drag it. I'm going to zoom in, drag my map down. I'm going to try and be as precise as possible here so that we match the chart. And I'm just going to drop that on Sega. Now my speed, again, I want it around about 152, not 252. 152, 162, around there. Not really too bothered. Now according to the chart, at Sega we want to be at 3,500 feet heading 194. So we'll jump this up to 3,500 feet. Don't have to be terribly precise because, as you saw, there's going to be some bouncing of the aircraft as soon as you take control. And our heading needs to be 194 degrees. Again, my radios are already set in the aircraft. I set them up before we did this, so I don't need to worry about my nav aids and all that stuff. 194 degrees. So there we go. At Sega, 3,500 feet, speed of 162, not climbing or descending, on a heading of 194. Alternatively, we could have picked a waypoint on that approach that was descending and then just put in here a negative climb angle to match the glide slope. But anyway, having done all that, just close the window and away you go. Now I had the sim paused before we did this, and it's going to come back paused, as you can see. So let's reset track IR, see where we're at. We are geared down, approach flaps. Probably a little bit too soon for gear down and approach flaps. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to push forward on my yoke, try to get this climb or descent under control. I'm going to bring the gear up. Might as well bring the flaps up at this point. Oh, now stabilize my aircraft a little bit better. I pushed a little bit too hard on the yoke. And just trim it out to fly the approach. You can already see we're under the glide slope, but we are exactly in the right place. Hope this was useful. As always, my name is Froogle. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.